Hey there guys, it is Chake Shcos and welcome to a new game. We've been doing Minecraft a little bit, but now I thought we'd get into something a little bit different. This here is Surviving Mars, and it's the latest update that they've done to it, the expansion, the Green Planet expansion. I'm also playing with the Project Lakia expansion that they released at the same time. Because they kind of coincide. They're two different things. Like, they sold them separately, but they're really, like, the same sort of thing. Anyway. Sorry about that. We're going to get started with a brand new game. Now, if you guys are unfamiliar with Surviving Mars, it is pretty much a city builder. With the slight difference that if you build your city incorrectly, all of your people die, which obviously is not ideal. So for this first mission, we're just going to start out right at the top. We're literally going to do the International Mars mission as our sponsor. If you've never played before, that is basically setting it on easy mode. Now, I've played a couple different playthroughs of this. I've done different sponsors. And so I'm not starting from scratch as far as the knowledge base, but just in case you haven't seen the game, I thought the first playthrough, at least we would go ahead and do the just the basics. We also have the predecessor expansion, the I don't remember what it's called, but it introduces rival colonies. So that's what this setting is here. Now, just to go through the mission sponsors, there's a whole bunch. USA, Blue Sun Corporation, some people you'd be familiar with. Space Y, because, not to be confused with real-life organizations that are similarly named, but have a different chromosome letter. They also have a Church of the New Ark, which is kind of like a religious one. You can pick random. Like I said, we're just going to do International Mars mission. And then they give you different things. If you hover over them, it shows you the funding, how many applicants you have, how much research you get for free from your sponsor. A lot of them are none, like the religious one. Literally no research from your sponsor. You can see the starting applicants is lower. The funding is way, way lower. And it comes with some special features and everything down there. And you're free to look through those if you have the game, and eventually we'll probably do a playthrough with each of these, so you'll get to see them eventually anyway. Next up, we have the commander profiles. That's it's basically what your character is, and it gives a special advantage to your playthrough as well. So you can see here the rocket scientist gives you an extra rocket, which is helpful because they are expensive, and so it's easier to get some more stuff from Earth without first having to refuel your rocket and send it back and all of that. And you also get a bonus tech unlocked from the beginning. In this case, it's the CO2 jet propulsion technology, which lets you build these little gliders that can fly around Mars and transport people and resources for you. So it's pretty helpful. Obviously, you have a bunch of other ones. This is a new one with the Green Planet, help with terraforming and stuff. You have City Mayor, gives you some funding and other stuff. Inventor. I really like this one because you automatically get the autonomous hubs tech. So you no longer the drone hubs no longer require an external power source, and they no longer need maintenance. So that's amazing. And the drones just gradually get faster and better as you go along. So that one's probably my favorite of all of them. Then you've got like oligarch, hydro engineer, doctor, etc., etc. There's a whole bunch here. We'll play through a bunch of them. Obviously, as we go through. The default is typically rocket scientist, like that's, you saw it already selected it. I think we might just go down the line for all the settings though. So this reduces seed import costs. You get some bonus prefabs for like terraforming stuff. You know what, we're just going to go with the rocket scientist because it's a simple one. So for the mission sponsors, we'll go down the list. Commander profile will go up the list. Colony logo will just leave the same. Well, let's see. Voyager. Final countdown. Ooh, Serenity, that's cool. I mean, I've looked through these, but that would be more of a, yeah. Each different sponsor has their own thing if you want to do that. Well, yeah, let's just do the final countdown for. Well, do we have a, is there an International Mars mission one, or? Oh, there is. Well, let's do that. The mystery, we're going to, you can see I've already done a couple of them here. We're going to start right at the top of the list and work our way down. Rival colonies, we'll just leave at the default, and game rules, we're not going to set anything. Here's just a couple things. You can do stuff to make it harder, you can do stuff to make it easier. We're just going to leave it alone on the default settings. And you can see up here, it shows where the difficulty is currently. Right now we're at 140% difficulty challenge. So that's really not that bad. I've seen it much higher than that. I've definitely played it harder than that. So we should be pretty well set up. So let's hit next. Here is our initial rocket, which is cool. And it gives you a loadout. Initially, you've got funding here. We can change the name. I like to just drop these numbers at the end. So it's now the Liberty instead of the Liberty 1, because I don't plan on having a Liberty 2, 3, and 4, and so on. Prefabs, let's see what we have. Drone hub, that's good. A moisture evaporator, that's ideal. And an advanced Stirling generator. This is new to me. Generates power, heats the surrounding area when opened. How much power do you generate, though? Stirling generators do 10, or 20 if you open them. I wonder if this does the same, and it just has the heating thing when you open it, or if it does more. I don't know, I guess we'll have to see once we get there. So those are the prefabs we're coming out with. They're sending us with an RC Commander, an RC Explorer, and an RC Transport. If you're playing with a different sponsor, don't get used to that because you might not get all three of those right off the bat. We're also being sent with 6 drones, which isn't a ton to start with, but we'll get more as we go. And then 15 polymers, 15 machine parts, 10 electronics, and 4 orbital probes. Now the concrete, metals, and we'll find those on the planet and work towards gathering those up. Food is something we'll eventually grow on the planet. And yeah, so we'll just leave the rest of that the way it is. And now we need to pick a colony site. So you see here you have these ones that you can just grab. It shows you what kind of resources you have there and what kind of disaster potential there is there. Obviously, 1 is like almost never happens, and then 4 is like it's happening all the time. You can also see with topography, it says it's relatively flat, gives you an average temperature, and shows you the average altitude. If you don't want to pick one of these predetermined spots, that's okay. You can literally just click anywhere. Usually the disasters are going to be higher and the resources not as plentiful in those places. But yeah. So let's see if we can find something kinda easy-ish for the first playthrough here. I don't like the Dust Devils so much. And I'd like a place with more metals to start. Terrain is rough, though. It doesn't have a lot of concrete. But but lots of metals, lots of water. A little higher on the meteor impacts, but everything else is pretty low. Higher meteors, lower metals. Let's do this one. Okay, so we're getting started here. So it's just loading up the map. You'll recall that I also am coming with 4 orbital probes that'll let me scan. Each probe lets you scan a sector. The map is divided up into a whole bunch of rectangular sectors. One of them is automatically revealed. This just gives you your mission log. Welcome to Mars. Everyone at Mission Control is impatient to see the rocket touching down, yada yada. If you want to read this, you can pause the menu or read it on your playthrough or whatever. Just gives you an outline. This is your sponsor. This is the commander profile you chose, and all that. So let's close that. Now you can see here, buy tooltips. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Okay. You can see here it has already shown us one sector, and that's right here. It's typically, it'll give you a sector that has some metals, some concretes, a decent amount of build area, and that's it. So it's a good place to start initially. Like I said, you also have your orbital probes, so you can scan areas around it as well.
Sector scanned. Anomaly found.
So here we can see we've got more concrete. We have some rare metals, which is awesome because that'll help with funding and building electronics later, and then an anomaly that we can check out. And then we'll grab this one, some more concrete, some more rare metals, and this one, a couple more anomalies. Oh, we have one more. Oh yeah, because this one was revealed. Duh. Let's take a look at maybe this one? And nothing there. Okay, well, that is all right. We're going to start exploring some of the areas. Now, once you don't have probes, you just click on an unexplored sector in your satellites in orbit. We'll start to scan that. It takes a little bit of time, but you can increase the speed of that with like sensor towers and things of that nature. And then we'll just kind of go in a circle around the original site where we'll be landing. And you can pre-select up to 9 of these. And you can see I can't select a 10th, but once this one's done, well, technically I have 10 selected because it's scanning this one and I have 9 queued. And then once this one's done, all these numbers will go down a digit and I'll be able to click another unexplored sector. So this can go away. Now we should get some research going as well. Now typically I don't do a lot with the terraforming section right off the bat, just because I'm more concerned about surviving initially than I am about trying to terraform the planet. Like, I want to establish a solid colony and get everything like solid, and then I'll look into terraforming the planet. So it takes a little bit longer, but it's worth it. Now, I do pour a lot into biotech initially because I want to get to the moisture evaporators as fast as I can. That way I'm not constantly buying prefabs. Now, with International Mars Mission, it's not that big a deal because you have so much starting funding. Like, you can just order stuff from Earth like all the time. But with some of the other sponsors, you don't have as much money, and so it's helpful to get to that research quickly. Rockets and shuttles require less fuel. That is helpful. RC transport harvest resources faster, and its maximum storage is increased by 15. That's okay. Extractor amplification is actually not super useful this early on. That's another thing about the game. The tech tree is, I would say, partially randomized. There are certain techs that are all the way at the end, and they will always be at the end, and there's nothing you can do about that. But a lot of the middle techs are actually randomized as far as their position. So you won't always have the same like order of research. So I've had playthroughs where a moisture evaporator was like right here, and I've had playthroughs where moisture evaporator was literally right here. So it just depends, and obviously the amount of research points that you need to unlock a technology increases as you go down the line. So what we'll probably start with is literally just, we'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this. We'll just go across the board here. Okay. Now you can also outsource if you have a bunch of money. This sends information. It allows labs on Earth to work on the research projects that you're working on instead of just you working on it. So you can outsource 1,000 points over the next 5 sols for $200 million, or outsource 5,000 research points for basically $1 billion over the next 5 sols. We're not going to outsource right now because I want to use my funding for other things later. But it is an option, and once you have a lot of funding coming in because you're just getting crazy amounts of rare metals, or you're doing something else to make a lot of money, and it does happen eventually, then you can just use that money to outsource or whatever you want. Okay, so that's all set up. Let's close that now, and we are going to land in this sector. Now to land, you click on the rocket. It gives you this little thing. You can rotate your cameras with the what is that? The Q and something, whatever's next to the R. My keyboard is so worn out. I have no idea what that key is, but it's right there above your WASD keys, like on either side of the W. That's how you rotate your camera. And there is a way to rotate the T and R lets you actually rotate the angle. First of all, let's get rid of this tooltip. Now let's land it. T and R lets you rotate how it's going to land. Where do I want to put you? Now, this white line around the rocket is an indication of where it's going to kick up dust. That's not super important for this first landing because obviously it's there's no buildings to get dust on, so not a big deal. The blue line is the drone control range for the rocket. So the rocket actually acts as your first drone hub until you have a chance to build another one. So that's something to consider as well. So we might want to put it like over here-ish. So the area that I'm looking at for the control range is, I hate when you get it like off center. Let's land it like this. But this way the drone control range is covering like all flat ground, pretty much. It also includes lots of metals and concrete and stuff right here. So yeah, that's a good spot for it. You can see it's coming down. It's kicking up that dust, like I said. And then once it touches down, it is gonna unload all of its cargo. Including the 6 drones and all the rovers and all of that. So here's all your camera controls and whatnot. We don't need that right now. Oh yes, permanent buildings are constructed by drones, yada yada. Okay. So if you feel like the game is moving too slowly, here's your speed controls. Most of the time you'll probably play on the fastest. Right now, just getting set up, we're going to play right here. And this looks like way more than 6 drones. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wow. So they lied to us. They said 6. Yeah, heavy transportation load indeed. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is actually build a storage in the Universal Depot just to get us started. That we will actually place. Maybe right here? Sure, why not? Okay, and now the drones will actually unload the rocket, which is currently holding the 15 polymers, 10 electronics, and 15 machine parts. Then out to the limits of their range, they'll start to gather metals for us to use in other projects. So let's speed this up just a touch. There. Now the RC Commander came with 4 drones, and that is exactly why we have the extra 4 drones. Okay, so that was that. We have the RC Explorer, so we're going to have him start checking out anomalies. And the RC Transport can gather resources as well, so we're going to run him over here and gather some metals. Now we're just going to basically gather up some of these metals here, enough that we can make a concrete extractor. We've got a couple options for the concrete. The grade determines how quickly the concrete will be mined, and then right here it just tells you how much concrete is actually in that deposit. So that one's a very low grade, so it would mine kind of slowly. This one's low, it'll mine a little bit faster, but there's not as much in it. So for our purposes...
Research complete. Anomaly analyzed.
Oh, and hold that thought. We have some other goals and stuff. So if you go down here to the mission profile, it shows you your sponsor missions. So have 30 colonists on Mars. 100% that will happen eventually. So there's no time limit on that, so that's good. Have a Martian-born colonist, again, will totally happen, not a problem. Build a machine parts factory, a polymer factory, and an electronics factory. We'll definitely do that eventually. Generate 3,000 research per soul. That's going to be easy. And then have 10 Martian-born specialists. Okay, so none of the faction goals for the International Mars mission have time limits on them. Some of the other sponsors have, well, all the sponsors have different goals, and some of them do have time limits, like they'll want you to accomplish something by soul whatever. So it's good when you first land to check this out and just see like, hey, what am I supposed to be accomplishing? What do I get for it? Is it worth doing? When we do these playthroughs, I'm generally going to try and do all of these. And in this case, it's going to be super easy to hit all of these because there's no time limit, and most of these things will just happen naturally as the colony expands anyway. But so those are there. And then, of course, you have your normal milestones, which are all here. Now, these do not have time limits. It's literally just things that you accomplish as you go along. Scan anomaly we just did, that was our first one. That's why we got the extra research points, and that's why that research completed faster, because it just injects 250 research points into your stuff right away. Launch a rocket from Mars, find water on Mars, construct a dome, first human on Mars, first Martian born, etc., etc. And it keeps going down. There's a whole bunch of stuff. And we'll hit all of those as we go along. Okay, so now let's pop back into this. He's scanning anomalies. We've got people collecting everything. So you have your 15 metals. You can... I want you to unload your resources right here. You're just going to move there, aren't you? Oh, no. No! Oh my gosh. Sometimes these are a little finicky. No. You okay? Sure. No, you can do that. Europe has nearly completed a milestone. That's great. I forgot that there were rival colonies on. I usually don't play with them on, but since it's part of the thing, I figured I'd just go ahead and do it. Now, eventually you can automate these rovers, and that helps out a lot. with the having them do stuff and whatnot. Are they not gonna... I don't know. Is this full already? It is full already. That's why they're not gathering anymore. You can stop that now. Okay. Let's get a concrete extractor going. I'm gonna go with the larger deposit
Research
initially.
complete.
So let's grab that. Now this is your build menu. Just so you guys know, you just right click to bring this up. So you've got your infrastructure buildings, you have power generation, you have production, life support, storage, and then you get into the fun stuff. You get your domes and all of that. So let's see this, because this one came with a message.
We just found Beagle 2, or at least what's left of it.
Okay, so we found one of the old Mars probes. Over the years, over 2/3 of the missions sent to Mars ended in disaster. The tragic course of events attributed to bad luck, human error, simply to the inevitability of shooting blind in the dark, had created dark humor revolving around the great galactic ghoul, which feeds on exploration probes and the mystery of the Martian Triangle. One of the best equipped probe missions to Mars was Beagle 2, which failed dramatically in the last minutes before landing. Failed by the parachutes and the treacherous Martian atmosphere, the brave little probe crashed at fatally high speed against the red desert. So because we found that, we were reducing the cost of robotics techs by 10%, so that's great. Let's begin analysis of the crash site. So those are cool little things. Discounts on your tech research is always a great thing, of course. So yeah, anyway, now back to this. We're going to do the concrete extractor, and we're going to put it right on top of the deposit. Now, the probes will automatically gather the machine parts and metals and everything that they need to do that. This, however, is going to require power. You see, it's going to cost 5 metals, 2 machine parts. So they'll bring all of those things over, kind of put them in a little pile, and then you'll see them sitting there and like working on it for a couple minutes, and then it'll be ready to go. But again, it won't have any power. Now, one thing I like to do when I start is these large solar panels will produce 5 power. That's exactly how much this is going to require, so I'm just going to build one of these right up next to it. It's not going to be permanent. This is a temporary thing until the concrete is all gone. And what we'll do is we'll set this to only run during the daytime, so we don't need to build a storage battery and a second solar panel here. Okay, so it's telling me you need power, and I know that. So that's what that little plug means. Basically means the building does not have power. So now that this is on, the sun is out, this has power, and you can see it's gathering resources. These are the different shifts, night shift, second shift, and first shift. Generally, you'll leave these two things on for almost every building. And
Sector scan.
as far as the people-manned buildings down the road, when you do get people on Mars, you'll generally want to shut off the night shifts, because it drives people crazy to work night shift, and that's not great for the morale in your colony. Here's another thing. The extractors will produce waste rock. There's different uses for it. Right now, you can just put it in a pile somewhere. So if you go to your storage tab, you can see that there's a dumping site and a large dumping site. We're literally just going to take the biggest one and put it right behind here, and they'll start piling the waste rock up in this little thing here. Okay, and so now we're producing concrete, and that's a great thing. Now let's grab. Now you also have specific depots that you can grab. Right now we just want the concrete depot, and we're gonna stash that. Actually, let's build another universal depot. Or right here. Not to be confused with the Home Depot.
Resources are low.
I know, that's a super lame joke. I'm sorry. Oh, man. That was bad. Okay, and so you see it's nighttime now, and because the shift is off, this is no longer running, which is great because this isn't getting power from the sun anyway. Alright, so now we want to send our explorer off to check out some other anomalies. This guy here can go and unload his resources right here. And let's see what researches we have unlocked. Low G fungi. That's super not useful at all. Thanks, guys. Decommission protocol, on the other hand, very useful. So once that concrete extractor runs out of concrete, I'm going to have a building sitting there that I don't need. So I will explode it, which is going to leave the remnants of a building sitting there that I can rebuild or just leave sit there. Unless I have this researched, in which case I'll be able to clear the remnants of the building and then reuse that site for something else, which is super useful. So we're going to research that, and we're going to set this to research as well, just so I can get the next tech in the line. Sorry about that, guys. The zoom in controls are right next to the WASD. It's the F and G keys. F is in, G is out. And because I switch between the typing and the WASD keys, I frequently hit this on accident. So just don't mind if it zooms in a little bit there on occasion. So yeah, now you're basically in a holding pattern, just like gathering up resources and such, until you have gene selection. Nice. Okay, so that's what that anomaly was. It was a new breakthrough tech, so let's check out what that is. Doubles the chance that a colonist will have or gain a rare trait. Wow, that's great. So we'll make sure we research that before we have people actually coming to the planet. Okay, guys, so what I'm going to do is basically just gather up some resources and all of that, and just get a decent start here. I'm probably not going to build a whole lot more because I want to do we'll set up some of our prefabs and everything. And okay, hold on, let's check out this thing. Dark side of the sun. While sifting through the red dust, your drones discover the remains of an old concrete bunker. The treasure inside is a folder of old documents. The ink has almost completely vanished, but with extra effort and creativity you manage to press through. In the distant 1973, an isolated country made a secret landing on Mars in preparation for further colonization of the entire solar system. So in all my playthroughs, I've never encountered this event, so this is all new to me. Under the watchful supervision of the great leader himself, their genius scientists have discovered many marvels of the universe. They helped the glorious leader hold the atom in his hands and watched in awe as he conversed with the universe itself about its nature, purpose, and origin. So I could select Thank You, Glorious Leader, reveals technologies in the biotech tree, which would be helpful. You also gain 50 sponsor research, which is great. You can also do it to reveal technologies in the physics tree with the same sponsor research, or you can literally just gain 150 sponsor research. Now, as much as I would love to reveal the stuff in the biotech tree, just 150 free sponsor research is way too good to pass up, so we are going to take that one. Alright, now that that's over, like I said, I'll continue to explore some of the anomalies and gather resources and just get a decent start for the base. I might build some landing pads for rockets and that sort of thing. And when we come back next episode, we'll get started on the actual base building, and I'll show you the next steps and all of that. So thanks for watching, guys. It has been awesome getting started on this with you guys, and I look forward to just continuing and having a really, really awesome run on this with the sponsor and everything here in Surviving Mars. So, yeah, we appreciate it. Make sure you leave a like on the video and come back for the next episode. We'll see you later, guys.